You had to describe AI in SEO using a fast food metaphor, what would it be?
Mm, Probably say like McDonald's, where it's like
Mhm.
you get the food really fast, but is it always quality?
Uh-huh, I
Or it's
get
like,
it. Welcome to today's episode of AI for Thought, where we cut through the noise and dive deep into the truths shaping digital marketing today. I'm thrilled to be joined by Peter Rota, an elite SEO specialist who has worked with everyone from local entrepreneurs to S&P 500 giants. With a proven track record of boosting search rankings, increasing web traffic, and driving real revenue growth, Peter brings unmatched insights to the table. Today, we're tackling a topic that everyone everywhere is asking: AI in SEO, hype versus real results. Is artificial intelligence the secret weapon to dominating search engines or just another overhyped buzzword? I'm asking the same question. So let's break it down with someone who's been in the trenches. Peter, welcome to the show.
thank you. Yeah, happy to be here, and also good pronunciation on my last name because a lot of people always get it wrong. So that was impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so let's dive right into the first question. But before we touch upon AI, let's do a real like a background check, right? So let's see. Do you remember your first SEO audit? What was that like? And did you need any therapy after it?
Oh wow. I mean, it's been so long, but I mean, I think initially, at least the way I did it was I kind of just looked up some templates slash guides and kind of done it from there. But from there, I've kind of implemented some of my own stuff in formatting, but definitely didn't need therapy from that one. But I feel like some of the recent ones I've been like 80 pages, I feel pretty worn out after. So definitely can relate to that.
Absolutely. So let's also cut through the fluff, right? What's the most ridiculous thing that you've ever heard someone claim AI can do for SEO?
Um, I mean, I've been seeing a lot recently on LinkedIn where people are talking about these automation workflows, but they won't actually share what they're doing. So, I mean, I think you can definitely automate some things with AI, but if you're like, I'm just going to fire my SEO and have AI do everything for you, it's kind of foolish because there's a lot of hallucinations and it's like you don't always know if it's going to be correct. And I still think there is some human element that is required. And there's some things where AI is biased versus where humans are better at. So yeah, I definitely think there's people are overselling it, hence the theme of the podcast we're doing.
Absolutely, I agree. People are really overselling it, and sometimes it's usually just for clicks, right?
Yes, agreed.
So, in your experience, where does AI actually deliver real value in SEO beyond just sounding impressive on LinkedIn posts?
Yeah, I mean, I've shared about it on LinkedIn, but I've had pretty good results basically using AI to create pretty good content. So, I mean, I've used a combination of like Surfer and then ZimWriter. But I mean, it's also really good at kind of creating outlines, which is kind of a mundane task. I've definitely used it a lot too, as far as like kind of creating and customizing JSON schema, things like that. And then it's also pretty good for like robots.txt directives and regex. So I think it's definitely helped me a lot, but I think there's obviously always more things to learn. But yeah, I definitely. I mean, it's funny now. It's only been like 2.5 years, but I almost feel like it's so essential to everything we do now. It's like, how did I do my job before? So it's funny.
Absolutely. Don't you remember when ChatGPT was down and people were actually saying they don't know how to comment on social media anymore? And
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. Is AI making SEO smarter or just faster at making the same mistakes? We're asking for a friend who's accidentally non-indexed the whole site.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination because, like your friend said, he no indexed the site. I think a lot of people are so focused on AI, they're not doing the fundamentals, or they just is like, oh, I'll have AI do it, and it's like you still need to know the fundamentals. So I think it's a combination of it makes us both better, but then sometimes we over rely on it versus say like tools in the past. So I think it's definitely a combination. And I think even before AI, there's an over reliance on AI. I mean, tools and not using your brain. So it's like you still need to think, you still need to create the strategy. You need to be able to critical think and not make dumb mistakes. So like it's always important to like verify and double check things because I mean I've had AI find sources from things that aren't actually in like the content itself. So you still need to use your brain and just not be on autopilot.
Agreed. I have actually experienced the same thing. I'm not going to name them, but two
Yeah.
major LLMs. Uh, yeah, so that is a real problem.
Yeah.
So, are we headed towards an AI apocalypse where Google ranks robots talking to robots, or do humans still have the seat at the table? I know your answer already, but I
Yeah.
want to hear it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, just the way Google's going, I think they want to use AI as much as possible, but as most of SEO's seen, so far it's been kind of disastrous, specifically with AI overviews. I think there will always be a human element because AI can't do everything, but yeah, I mean, I could see a kind of the point where like Google by default they have AI mode, which basically I could see that could being the default in like a few years, where basically which is kind of already going to. It's like you don't even need to go to the website anymore. Like it'll just be like you're in the search results. Google's never pushing you to their property, or they if they do, they're going to push them to like a paid um, ad or promotion. So I think it's just like it's definitely not a great future, and I think that's why people need to diversify beyond SEO. And something I've also said about is like you may be getting less traffic, so you want once people get on your website to convert higher. So like investing into CRO and things like that.
Insightful. Yeah, I get it. But my question, as a person who's been in content for the past 7 to 8 years, is that
Yeah.
is AI generated content a gold mine, a landmine, or somewhere in between?
Hmm. I'd say somewhere in between. I mean, I've always been the thought where all AI content is not created equally. I mean, I've seen some content that looks good. I've seen some content that just like you can tell it's AI. So the AI content is only going to be as good as what you're inputting. If you're inputting crap, sorry, if you're inputting junk, you're going to get junk out. So, I think at least me personally in my job right now, we're doing a mix of things where basically we've uploaded our brand guidelines. So we're using AI there to kind of look over those and kind of better understand what the content should be. But then we're also proofreading, and then we're in the process of also having a subject matter expert go through that too as well. So you do get the AI, but then you're also getting some component of information gain, right? And what so-called eat signals versus first person experience. So I think I personally always have a mix of just like checking all the boxes because I don't think AI content is inherently bad, but I think people want to trust the content and it needs to answer the queries. And I think as long as the content does that, whether it's human or AI, I think that's fine because like obviously you've been in the space a while. I remember a few years back where it's like we're paying someone in like a third world country to like write content, and now it's like you use AI and it comes up pretty comparable. So I think that's just it's always like the inputs and the outputs and what you're put in.
Yeah, but when you compare AI to the content that was being generated by third world countries, I think
Yeah,
AI is definitely a step up. I think so.
for sure.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Can AI replace technical SEO audits? And I'm going to
Yeah.
join another question to it. What scares you most about AI in SEO?
Mm, good question. I mean, I think, like I mentioned a bit earlier in the call, AI can certainly help with the technical SEO audits, but there still is a human aspect where you need to, at least how I've always done it is I'll look over each page as page template, because sometimes AI might not always pick up everything because I mean, it knows tech SEO, but I think the human element's important because even with tools like a Screaming Frog or like a SEMrush, it's gonna like pick up things, but you still need a human aspect as well because sometimes it could be false positive, things are wrong. And then you said, what was the other part of the question? Sorry, I think you said something about
What scares you most about AI in SEO?
oh, probably the people basically saying that um it's gonna replace everyone and Google search is dead and we continue to see Google search go up. I think Google search is more, I wouldn't say it's dead, but it's more dead in the aspect of Google is not sending people to websites. So I think that will continue to grow, but SEO and people using search engines as a whole will, I think, continue to grow. But I can see maybe a few years where basically like I was mentioning the AI mode where it's like Google and AI almost knows what you want even before you find it, so it's just giving you the answer. So I think that's more scary than anything. It becomes almost sentient and then just knows everything about you.
Absolutely. ChatGPT, people have been sharing pictures with an API, I suppose, where ChatGPT could actually give them the
Yeah,
exact coordinates of that picture. While I personally use Gemini for sharing your camera or sharing your screen, and it can actually read elements. It can see what flower is in front of you. It can
yeah, it's
see.
crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right. We've already talked about AI in SEO, so I'm going to skip this question and say
Yeah, you're good.
people say AI is the future of SEO, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. But is it the present right now? Are businesses getting real ROI today or just more dashboards?
I mean, I think it really depends on the industry and niche. I mean, AI certainly has grown a significant amount in a very short amount of time, and it shouldn't be ignored. But at the same time, you should not neglect Google. I mean, I think where SEO's gone and where it's going, it's like you're basically wherever your audience needs to be. So it's like if your audience is looking for you on AI, you're optimized there. If they're on Pinterest, you're on there. If they're on social media, it's there. But I mean, it seems like for the most part, Google still is sending more traffic, but I've seen studies on certain niches where AI may send more traffic, but I mean, Google is still sending more traffic, but I think to ignore AI and just be like it's a fad is definitely futile and it's something that you should be aware of, but it's something I don't think should be like your number one focus where it's like everyone's saying SEO is dead or Google is dead and then they show them these studies and then I don't hear anything from them. So yeah, I think it's kind of been the death of SEO and dual going all in on AI is kind of like over. I can't think of the word, but oversold. Yeah.
I actually use the same phrase for one of my videos too. So
Hmm.
yeah, I can relate. SEO is
Yeah.
dead. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, people love saying that because it just riles people up and it gets views, but it's not the case.
Yes. All right. Now, if you had to describe AI in SEO using a fast food metaphor, what would it be?
Hmm. Probably say like McDonald's, where it's like
Mhm.
you get the food really fast, but is it always quality?
Uh-huh, I
Or it's
get it.
a,
I
yeah.
get
I
it.
mean, then it's like all the chemicals and the nuances. So, I mean, I guess with AI, it's like, I don't want to get too deep, but then people are like, oh, it's biased, or the training set is racist, or all these things, or it's just like, it's kind of like looks good on the surface, but then when you dive deep into it, it's not always, it looks prettier than it actually is, I guess. So kind of like fast food.
Would you say that a cookie cutter approach is saying too much
About,
about AI in SEO? As in, is it serving the same thing to everyone, or is it still getting better?
I think it's getting better slowly, but obviously it's not perfect. Yeah, I think it really just depends on what you're trying to use it for. I mean, overall, I think there's more pros than cons, but I think used in the wrong hands, and there's certain instances we've seen in Google where people are trusting AI overviews and making stupid decisions. So you just have to be smart and do your research.
Agreed. So I'm reading here that you offer free consultations. What's
Oh,
one
yes.
AI SEO misconception you constantly find yourself debunking for clients?
I mean, I haven't done a ton of consultations on AI specifically, but one thing I am seeing is that, and I'm probably gonna get flack for this, but the reality is all the recommendation I've seen to show up on AI are very similar to regular SEO or featured snippets where it's like use quotes, use statistics, make sure it's semantic HTML, make sure you're using NLP, make sure you're showing up in best of type articles, make sure you have semantic SEO, like make sure you're having like a knowledge panel. So it's like these things have been around for years and people are like, oh, do all these things. And I'm like, this isn't anything new, but people are like, I mean, it's the same thing. I made a post about this where people are talking about all these things you have to do to show up in voice search, and it's like that's only just regular I mean, that's regular SEO. So it's semantics, or it's like you're trying to change something that's already been around for many years. So I think it's like there's not a ton that you need to do that's drastically different than traditional SEO. And I think where some people get caught is some people still think of SEO as just like optimizing. So I think in that aspect, yeah, it's different, but see SEO more as like a fully functional extension of like your brand and your media and how you're marketing. So if you're doing that stuff, well, you're going to hit most of the AI stuff.
And
I mean, I
speak,
guess yeah, sorry to cut you off. I mean, the only thing I'm seeing maybe that is more AI prominent is mentions versus over links. But other than that, I would say it's pretty similar to like traditional SEO.
okay, that's something I have heard for the first time right now. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Uh, what would 2010 Peter say if he saw 2025 Peter automating a schema markup with AI? Would he be proud or would he be confused? I know he would be confused, but you know what I mean, right?
Uh, Probably be proud because I'm not, I mean, I know a good amount of technical SEO, but I'm not like a coder in that aspect. So I think he'd be proud because it's like you're not wasting hours trying to create the perfect schema. One, I think schema has like some impact, but I don't think it has like significant impact. So it's like focusing on the things that are going to move the needle more versus I have like I don't know, a certain type or you've linked these schemas together. Now you're going to have amazing SEO. So I'd probably be happy that I was not wasting my time on mundane or small impact things.
I knew you were going to say that, but I just wanted to hear the detail.
Yeah.
All right. Where do you see the smartest balance between AI automation and human creativity in SEO over the next couple of years?
All right, can you repeat the last part of that question?
As in, where
Understand? Yeah.
where would you see that the best balance will be between human creativity and SEO in the coming
Hmm.
years?
Yeah, it's a tough question because I think we're still kind of establishing that, but I think. we're going to get to the point where um, basically AI is kind of something that like it's almost as ubiquitous as Google, where it's like you're using it more as a way to automate and improve things. But I think you still want to be creative because I think AI, it tends to be pretty cookie cutter in how it does some things. So I think us humans do a better job at being more creative and kind of looking at things differently versus AI, which is like very kind of black and white. So I think it's kind of like we're figuring that out, but just being creative and thinking about things different ways, which AI may not think about because it tends to be like either one side or the other.
And like it seems as if people prefer humanization. When you mentioned NLP, right? The
Yeah.
whole point is humanization. People don't want that cookie cutter approach. So you have inspiration, you have automation, and you have a constant value addition as well. But that
Yeah.
humanization factor comes in at each level. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I think not everyone, but there's a good amount of population that's still kind of just afraid of AI. So I think a lot of those people are like, they think of AI and they're like, I wouldn't say they think of the Terminator, but they just think of like, oh, it's AI. Like it's probably not thinks like a human and they're more weary of it. And I mean, there's like media, which is always going to turn things a certain way. But yeah, I think people will eventually get on board because that's just the future. And it's like if you don't get on board and start using the technology, you're going to basically be out of a job.
Absolutely. So that is what we're expecting in the next couple of years. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And now we're on to the final question. Peter, if you could give SEO professionals one golden rule when using AI, what would it be?
Mm, good question. Um, I would say just keep testing and be open to trying new things and think about some of the work you do in the processes and kind of speak to the AI and ask ways that it can automate or help. But at the same time, don't be 100% reliant because sometimes it's not always accurate on maybe statistics or math. So you want to definitely use it, but at the same time, always double check things before. I mean, I've heard things about lawyers doing dissertations or things based on AI, and it was all like junk. So you really want to make sure you've double slash triple check things before you present it to a governing body or basically just selling it, period. So just do your homework and be smart about it and don't assume what it's saying is 100% right always.
And with that, we've actually come to the end of our time together. Although I would really want to sit here and talk AI with you beyond
Yeah.
SEO. I've got so much, but we're going to save all of that for a future session somewhere in the future.
Yeah.
So, Peter, thank you so much for being here. I really learned a lot from you. And until next time, take care.
Thank you.